Hello and welcome back to eCBSE online classes. We are continuing the module statistics from mathematics. The specific topic of today's video is graphical representation of data. This is part A2 of the video series. In the previous video, we have looked at how to collect the data and represent that in the form of frequency distribution tables. We have seen with examples when you have a raw data which is small, how to convert that into an ungrouped frequency distribution table, and we have also seen if the raw data is slightly bigger, how to convert that into a grouped frequency distribution table. Now in this video, let us focus on the graphical representation of data. As the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You can convey a lot more with a picture, correct? There are many different ways of doing graphical representation of data like bar charts, histograms, pie charts and frequency polygons. In this video, we are going to cover bar charts, histograms and frequency polygons in detail. Okay. Now let's start with bar charts. The raw data I'm taking is a simple example. I'm taking a table of number of students having birthdays in a given month. The first column is the month and second column is number of students having birthday in that specific month. That is frequency. So let's take a graph chart here. And first draw axis lines, and on x-axis I am writing the names of the months from January till December. Okay. On y-axis I am marking the frequency from 0 till 7. Since my maximum frequency value in the column number 2 is 6, 7 is sufficient here. Now I will slowly start constructing bars for each month one by one. For January, the number of students is 3. So I'll construct a rectangle at January with a height of 3. Similarly, for February, it is 4. So the height will be 4. March, it is 2. And continue the process until December. So this is essentially how a bar chart will look like. Okay. As I said, the height of the bar is proportional to the value. Here, the width of the bar doesn't really matter. So in the bar charts, remember that only height of the bar is really important, and which is equal to, it is proportional to the value. Now we can answer certain questions here, right? Which month has maximum birthdays? Can directly say that August is the one which has maximum number of birthdays. Again, the next question, how many birthdays are there in April? You can say there are 2 birthdays, correct? So essentially bar chart is helping us to see some relative characteristics at a glance. So these are definitely better than tabular representations. Now let's move on to the next type of graphical representation. So let's start with a question here. How to represent continuous data graphically? In the previous example, that is bar chart example, all the data is discrete, right? January, February, March, etc. are discrete. So sometimes the classification is not discrete, it is continuous. For example, weights of individual students, correct? So how to represent such continuous data graphically? We use something called histogram, correct? Now let's work out an example here. The weights of students grouped here, correct? First column is weights classes 30.5 to 35.5, 35.5 to 40.5 and so on. There are 6 classes here. The second column is number of students in that weight category, which is also frequency. Now let's build a histogram using this data. Again, take a graph sheet here, a vertical axis, draw a horizontal axis. On the horizontal axis, I am marking the boundaries of each class here. But I am starting with a slightly lower class than the minimum class that I have. So that is 25.5, 30.5, 35.5 and so on up till 65.5. Again, 65.5 is one class higher than the maximum class that I have. So I'll explain the reason in a short while. And also here, notice a kink here on the x-axis. This kink is basically to tell that we are not starting the axis from 0. Okay, please remember that. And on the y-axis, I am marking the frequency. My maximum value here is 16. So I am making each centimeter equal to 2. So I am marking until 16. Now just like in the bar charts, we will construct rectangular bars to demarcate the proportional value of the frequency. But here I am constructing the rectangles with a specific width from the lower boundary to upper boundary. So let me start with the first class 30.5 to 35.5. The frequency is 9. So I take the width from 30.5 to 35.5 and construct a rectangle which goes up to the height of 9. Okay. And the second class 35.5 to 40.5, it has value up to 6. So similarly for all other classes I construct different rectangles. Okay, this completes the construction of histogram. Okay, notice here that there are no gaps between the bars. Okay, also here the bars are of uniform widths, and as we discussed in the previous example, in the bar charts width doesn't really matter, correct? And also the height of the bar is proportional to the value of the frequency. But in here, instead of height, it is area of the bar which is proportional to the value. So since the area of the bar is proportional to the value, the width of the bar plays a key role in constructing the histogram. Okay. So essentially, histogram is nothing but a graphical representation of grouped frequency distribution tables of continuous data. Okay, please remember this. Now, what if your data table is slightly different? Okay, here the data table is similar, but with one minor difference. In the last row, if you see, the group is above 70. Instead of 70 to 80, they have directly categorized as above 70. So that group is not of the same size as the other groups in the table. So how to deal with that? So your natural instinct to construct such a histogram is to do like this, correct? But is the last box really correct if we do like this? No. Why is that? Because we have already seen that area of the bar in a histogram should be proportional to the value of the frequency. But here, since the width has changed, we need to reduce the height. Okay. Now, if I have to actually reduce the height, it is going to be like this, so that the height is adjusted to make the area proportional to the value. Okay. Now, let's look at the third graphical representation of data, that is frequency polygons. So now I'm starting here with the previous example where I have looked at the distribution of students based on their weight category. Okay, I'm using the histograms to construct the polygons here. Let me start with the steps here. So once you have a histogram here, the first step is to identify the midpoint of each bars. Okay, identify the midpoint of each bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, additional to the midpoints of the existing bars, you also need to add 1 point on the left side and 1 point on the right side. So the class below that has a frequency of 0. Class above the highest one also has a frequency of 0. So when you identify midpoint of bars adjacent to the lowest and highest classes, you will have 2 more additional dots. Okay. Now you have the dots. All you need to do is connect the points to construct a polygon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. When you remove the rectangular bars from that, whatever you are left with is called frequency polygon. So the resultant polygon is called frequency polygon. Please remember this. And you should also remember the fact that the area under this polygon is exactly equal to the area of the histogram we have constructed earlier, and which is also equal to the total value. Okay. Now you may ask the question, do I have to really use histogram to construct the frequency polygons? The answer is no. The frequency polygons can also be drawn without the help of histograms. Let us quickly see how we can do that. So you have a data like this which has class and corresponding frequency. So now what you need to do is calculate for each class something called as class mark, which is nothing but average of lower class limit and upper class limit. So for example, for the class of 30 to 40, the class mark will be 30 plus 40 by 2, that is 70 by 2, which is 35. Similarly, you calculate the values for all the classes and make a third column, that is class mark. And now all you need to do is plot class mark versus frequency. So the polygon will look something like this. You see, this is exactly similar to the polygon that we have constructed earlier. Okay. Now, where are these frequency polygons suitable? When the data is really big and the type of data is continuous, these frequency polygons are useful and suitable. And also, those are helpful to compare two sets of data which are of same nature. Okay. So in this video, we have looked at three different types of graphical representations: bar charts, histograms, and frequency polygons. We have seen their nitty-gritties and also understood where they are useful and where to apply them. In the next video, we are going to cover the measures of central tendency. Stay tuned. I hope you like this video. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, eCBSE Online Classes. Thank you for watching.